My mom told me not to show up because my cheap presents would ruin the photos. So I sent a silent gift that shattered their wedding day. They thought they could erase me like I never existed, just because I couldn't afford a bridesmaid's dress that cost more than my monthly rent. When my sister Haley got engaged, the whole family went into celebration mode. Group chats exploded, invitations went out, and I waited for mine. But it never came. Before we go on, if you've ever been underestimated or pushed aside by your own family, hit that like, share this, and subscribe. Someone needs to hear this. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe Haley forgot to mention it. I even texted her, "Hey, can't wait for the bachelorette trip." No reply. 2 days later, my cousin Rachel posted a photo captioned, "Sisters before the ceremony," and I wasn't in it, because I wasn't invited. I asked Mom what was going on, and her voice dropped to that condescending tone she uses when she's lying. "Ava, you know we love you, but this wedding is going to be very elegant. We can't afford distractions or drama." Distractions? I'd been working 2 jobs, paying off student loans, and helping her cover rent last year when she was sick. But now I was a distraction. The final blow came when she said, "It's not personal. You just wouldn't fit the aesthetic." That word. Aesthetic. Like I was a scratch on their perfect little Instagram filter. I cried that night. Not because I missed the wedding, but because I finally understood where I stood in my own family. Nowhere. They were ashamed of me. They wanted me out of the frame, out of the moment, out of their lives. But I didn't beg. I didn't fight. I did something no one expected. I vanished. I cashed out my savings and booked a one-way ticket to Iceland. No goodbyes, no explanations. Just gone. And while they were toasting champagne in their rented vineyard, I was standing on a black sand beach under the northern lights, uploading a single post that changed everything, not just for them, but for thousands of people around, the world, because what I revealed wasn't just beautiful, it was powerful. And the best part? I didn't even need to be there to ruin the wedding. They did that themselves when they opened the gift I left behind. It was a small wooden box, handmade, rustic, and tied with a pale blue ribbon. No name on top, just a card that read, "For the bride, from the one you erased." I'd sent it 2 days before the wedding, through a private courier service. No one expected it. They thought I was sulking somewhere in my apartment, too broken to do anything dramatic. But inside that box was the one thing that could turn their dream wedding into a nightmare. The truth. Haley opened it right after the rehearsal dinner, in front of the bridal party. Inside was a flash drive. Just that. No instructions. Out of curiosity, and let's be honest, a little paranoia, she plugged it into her laptop while everyone gathered around. And then, it played. A video. Me, in Iceland, sitting by a roaring waterfall, smiling like I hadn't in years. "Hi, Haley. Since I didn't make the aesthetic cut, I figured I'd give you something you can't filter out. A little wedding gift. The truth about your perfect day." The room went dead silent. In that video, I dropped everything they tried to hide. How their perfect wedding was secretly funded by me, the sister they shut out. 6 months earlier, when Haley was crying over calls from vendors she couldn't afford, I secretly paid off the biggest invoices using the bonus I got from a remote tech job, the one no one knew I had. I was working nights, freelancing, and building a software tool for small business owners. Quietly, alone. I didn't brag. I didn't post about it. I just helped. And now they were sipping champagne, dancing under fairy lights, all funded by the girl they labeled too poor to attend. The video showed the bank transfers, the email threads with vendors, the payment receipts, everything. And then the camera zoomed in on my face. I wanted to support you, Haley. Even when you ignored me, even when Mom called me an embarrassment. But now I see the truth. You were never proud of me. You were using me. So here's my final contribution to your big day: exposure. The final clip in the video? A private voice note Haley had, sent to her best friend, trashing me. I just don't want Ava there. She's depressing. Like, what would people think seeing her in some bargain dress next to me? I don't want to look like I came from trash. That one sentence made the whole room explode. Haley's fiancé walked out. Her maid of honor started, crying. My mother fainted. And me? I was 2,900 miles away, sipping cocoa in a hot spring, while the wedding I paid for burned from the inside out. But that wasn't the real twist. Because the next morning, my phone lit up with a message that made me sit straight in that cabin chair. It was from someone who hadn't spoken to me in years. And what he said changed everything. It was a message from my dad, the man who walked out on us when I was 13. The man Mom never allowed us to talk about. He hadn't sent a single birthday wish in over a decade. But now, out of nowhere, there it was. I saw the video. I'm proud of you. Call me. My hands shook. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. And then I scrolled down hundreds of notifications. The video had leaked. Someone from the bridal party had posted it. It was everywhere. On TikTok, on Reddit. Even wedding blogs had picked it up with headlines like, Bride exposed by sister she banned, aesthetic destroyed, tech genius. Sister funded, wedding she was never invited to. It was surreal. My inbox flooded with messages, some hateful, most supportive. Women from all over the world telling me, thank you for standing up for yourself. I've been the forgotten sister too. But that message from Dad, it hit different. I hadn't seen him since the day he left with a duffel bag and a lie. It's just for work. I'll be back in a week. He never came back. Mom always said he was a failure, that he abandoned us, that he didn't care. But now, he was proud of me. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. So I did neither. I picked up the phone. The moment he heard my voice, he choked up. Ava, I've been following your work for years. Your app helped my friend's business survive the pandemic. I had no idea it was you. Your mother made sure we stayed apart. But I never stopped watching, never stopped caring. I just sat there, speechless. He continued. You were never the failure. You were the fire. I left to protect you girls, but I made the mistake of staying away too long. And I see now. They didn't just shut you out. They tried to erase you. Then came the part that rattled my soul. I wasn't going to say anything, but you deserve to know. I left you something that's always been yours. I blinked. What do you mean? He paused. The beach house. The one in Santa Cruz. I put it in your name after I left. They don't even know it exists. I thought my heart stopped. I've been saving it for the right moment, he said. And I think this is it. Not just for revenge, but to build something better. On your own terms. I sat there in that Icelandic cabin, staring at the snow outside, realizing I wasn't just the rejected sister anymore. I was the heir to a secret they never saw coming. But before I could even respond, a notification popped up. It was from Haley. You ruined everything. But if you think I'm going to let you keep what's ours, you're dead wrong. And what she did next turned this family feud into war. 3 days later, I landed in California. The moment I stepped off the plane, I felt it. The tension. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly remembered I existed. But I wasn't here for them. I was here for the beach house. I drove straight from the airport to Santa Cruz. No detours, no distractions. The GPS took me down a winding road near the cliffs, and there it was. A beautiful, weathered cottage, wrapped in ocean breeze and silence. It looked untouched, like time had stood still. My name was on the deed. No disputes, no fine print. Dad had filed it quietly, years ago, but peace didn't last long. The next morning, I heard tires screech outside. I looked through the window and saw her, Haley, hair still perfect. Nails freshly done, but her face was different now. Cold, angry, scared. She marched up to the front door and banged her fist against it like she owned the place. I opened it slowly. She didn't say hi. "You don't deserve this," she snapped. "This house, that video, that attention, you're nothing but a manipulative little snake." I almost laughed. "You mean the house Dad gave me, the wedding I paid for, or the lies you got caught telling?" Her voice cracked. "You humiliated me." I stepped closer. "No, you humiliated yourself. I just pressed play." She pushed past me, storming into the living room like it still belonged to her. "Mom says this house should be part of the family estate. She's already calling lawyers." I let her rant, let her spiral. And then I handed her a folder. Inside, legal proof, not just of my ownership of the beach house, but of something bigger. Dad had left behind more than a home. He'd created a trust fund, tied to an early investment in a tech startup that had since exploded. And guess who he named as the MA, sole beneficiary? Haley's face went white. She flipped through the documents with shaking hands, her voice barely a whisper. "This isn't real." "It is," I said calmly. "You took me out of the wedding pictures, but I own the original. Frame now." She dropped the folder on the floor and looked up at me, tears welling up. "Why didn't you just tell us?" she whispered. I stared at her. "Because I wanted to see who you'd be when you thought I had nothing." She turned and walked out. No words, no apology. But as she drove off, I got a message from Mom. "You think this is over? You have no idea what we've been hiding." And with that one text, I realized this wasn't just about a wedding anymore. This was about a family secret buried deeper than I ever imagined. I didn't respond to Mom's message right away. My hands were shaking, not out of fear, but from rage. What could they possibly still be hiding? For years, I believed I was just the awkward, overlooked sister who never measured up. But the way Mom phrased that text, like she held a dagger she'd been waiting to twist, and something told me this wasn't just emotional blackmail. This was something else. I spent that evening combing through every drawer, cabinet, and storage box in the beach house. If Dad left me a trust, a house, and all this silence, there had to be more. I opened a dusty trunk in the attic, and there, it was a locked wooden journal. I cracked the lock open with a flathead screwdriver. Inside, the first page hit me like a freight train. "Ava, if you're reading this, then they never told you the truth." My breath caught. I flipped the pages, and the story unraveled in shaking ink. Mom wasn't just cruel out of favoritism. She had been afraid. Years ago, Dad discovered that her family business, the one she inherited, was laundering money through fake bridal vendors, shell companies, ghost invoices, fake checks. And when he threatened to expose it, she cut him out, blackmailed him into leaving, told him if he tried to see us again, she'd destroy him financially and make sure we hated him forever. But he didn't fight back. He chose silence. For us. For me. And while Haley got glam weddings and spa weekends, I got hand-me-downs and cold shoulders, because I reminded Mom of the one man who could have ended her empire. I couldn't breathe. I looked at the date on the final entry. Just 6 months ago, he wrote, "The day Ava learns the truth, the whole house of cards will fall. She just doesn't know yet. She owns it all. Suddenly, it made sense. The sudden kindness from my uncle last Christmas. The cryptic comment from Mom when I said I might go into tech. That's a dangerous game, sweetheart. She wasn't warning me. She was protecting herself. The next morning, I did what they never expected. I went public. I released the journal pages. Redacted names, yes. But the story, fully laid out, with evidence, emails, screenshots, documents I dug out of that trunk all night long. And I didn't post it for revenge. I posted it for closure. But it blew up faster than I expected. Wedding blogs turned into finance blogs, then into national news. Headline after headline. Bride's sister exposes family's secret financial empire. Erased daughter now owns 3.4 million in inheritance and legal power over family estate. Lawyers started calling. Whistleblowers reached out. Even the FBI got involved. By the end of the week, Mom had shut down all her accounts. Haley vanished from social media. And I stood in the beach house doorway, barefoot on the wood floor, watching the waves crash. Free, not just from their judgment, but from their control. I wasn't the poor sister anymore. I was the storm they tried to ignore, until I tore down the whole sky above them. And as the last message from my mother came in, one final desperate plea, I didn't even open it, because for the first time in my life, I was writing the ending.